your life.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. It's approximately 1 p.m. I'm Mayor Eric Enriquez. Before we start, I want to mention that we have the American Sign Language interpreters up front and available at every regular City Council meeting. We will start with a moment of silence for the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as our courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police and Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7, 365. If you please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll start off with the proclamation and presentations. Okay, so the first proclamation is for the Las Cruces Catholic Schools. So anyone from the Catholic schools that want to come up and join me? So the City of Las Cruces proclamation reads, whereas the City of Las Cruces is witness to the consolidation of the two Las Cruces Catholic schools in order to further promote excellence and better serve the community. And whereas the Catholic schools challenge their students to achieve high academic standards, to live gospel message, and to work for social justice. And whereas the City of Las Cruces is highly dependent upon a well-educated and caring citizen, which is these schools consistently produce. Whereas the City of Las Cruces is proud of its citizens who are students and alumni, it wishes to honor the Catholic schools for their educational excellence and contributions to the community. Now therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of January 26th through January 30th, 2026 to celebrate Catholic Schools Week in Las Cruces and call upon its citizens to salute its local institutions and express appreciation for the dedication for which the students, parents, faculty, staff, and administration approach their responsibilities. Congratulations. Okay, so we'll have one of the students say a few words.
Good afternoon, Mayor Enriquez and the members of the City Council. My name is Joshua Ohinaga, and we are students at the Las Cruces Catholic Schools. On behalf of our entire school community, we would like to sincerely thank you for the proclamation recognizing our school during Catholic Schools Week. Catholic Schools Week is a special time to celebrate us and our faith, and our education and our commitment serving others. Receiving this proclamation from our city makes this celebration even more meaningful. It reminds us that our school is not just a place where we learn in the classroom, but also a place where we are encouraged to be responsible citizens and give back to our community. At LCCS, we are taught the importance of academic excellence, service, and respect for others. Your recognition shows us that our city values education and positive role schools play in shaping our future leaders. It is an honor for us to know that our efforts as students are seen and often appreciated beyond our school walls. Thank you again for taking the time and support our recognized Thank you again for taking the time to support and recognize our school, and for your continued dedication to our city and its families. We are very grateful for this proclamation and the opportunity to be part of such a supportive community. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
All right, again, thank you all. Thank you for being here and attending this proclamation, and we wish you all a great week. Thanks. Next, we have a presentation from our sister cities, and Katrina will come up and do the introductions.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Katrina Godinez, Community Engagement Manager. Community Engagement is also the city liaison to the Sister Cities Foundation. Today, our Las Cruces Sister Cities will be doing a presentation to Mayor and Council regarding a trip that Sister Cities and our Councilor Cassie McClure took to our sister city, Lerdo, Mexico. Some of our sister cities members that are in audience are Tim Chappell. He's the chairman of Lerdo Affiliation Committee. He's going to be doing the presentation. Cassie McClure, our city councilor, she attended the Lerdo, the delegation to Lerdo. Mr. Ron Borunda, he's the vice president. Also, members, Elaine McKinney, Hale Huber, Gabby Buckman, Joni Newcomer. Thank you. And you play the, you can play the video.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Let's see, here is our first slide. Thank you for the introduction, Katrina. Let me start off here. First, I'm going to talk about what Sister Cities is, because I know some of you are new to City Council, and I just want to give a brief rundown of what we do. We had an exchange, and we went, I'm going to talk about that in just a second, too. In 1956, President Eisenhower started Sister Cities after going through 2 world wars and realizing that governments are not the best at making peace. He started Sister Cities International to promote peace through mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation. One individual, one community at a time. Sort of created what we call citizen diplomats, okay? Las Cruces Sister Cities, we have 2, one in Lerdo, Mexico, which we actually formalized in 1982, and then Nienburg, Germany, which we did in 1993. The Las Cruces Sister Cities Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit, so if anybody wants to donate, you can write it off on your taxes. If you're not familiar, Lerdo is part of the Tri-Cities area down in Mexico with Torreon, Gomez, Palacio, and Lerdo. It's about 550 miles as the bus flies, and you can see here from the picture, it's down there. Beautiful spot. It's in the southern part of the Chihuahuan Desert, just like we're in the northern part. Our exchange took place the 14th to the 17th of November. 14th was a travel day and 17th was a travel day, so we were actually there for about 2 days. We went to reestablish our relationship with Lerdo. There had been, since the pandemic, there had been a lack of exchanges and So we held off onto it, and Jorge Martinez Rios, who is also a member of Sister Cities out from Mexico State University, suggested, well, let's try something that's not necessarily politically related, and he suggested we do a music exchange. They were completely excited about it. Turns out the new mayor, Susie Salazar, had just taken office the 1st of October, and on Thursday she met with my counterpart from the Lerdo Exchange and said, yeah, let's do this. And they were very, very excited about it. We had a very short notice, and they put together an amazing, just an amazing activities for us. So let's see. Trina, how did I get to that video? I want to show you, one of our members put together a quick 4-minute video of the exchange that I didn't put it as part of the PowerPoint. So let's see if I can get there. Hold on, maybe I'll get it. Ah, there it is.
Encore.
Oh, yeah.
oops, hold on, let me get this started here. And there is a good reason you don't see me singing or dancing in that video, because I don't. Where does it start? So that was a brief summary of the visit. I'm going to talk about some of the things you were seeing. On our arrival on Saturday, they took us, we rolled in about 6 o'clock in the morning, and we just went right to sort of breakfast at this beautiful hacienda there in Lerdo that they've turned into sort of an event center, so you can have all kinds of stuff there that's really beautiful. And then the mayor, Susie Salazar, who's in the middle, met us there that day, and Cassie and Susie hit it off really, really well. I thought it was just fabulous for that, what was going on with that. Oops. That one got out of place. This is actually when we arrived at the bus station. So we took buses from Juarez down to Lerdo, just because it's a long drive. We got there at night, and you just sleep on the bus and kind of wake up down there. They have really nice buses that you can take, you know. And then they put us up in a motel, which is unusual, and I'll talk about that. That's a picture of the plaza from our hotel. We were right downtown. Because our stay was very short, we were only going to be there one night, and 90% of the activities happened right there around the plaza. It was just easier for us to just walk downstairs and do that, as opposed to trying to take us back to people's houses, which is the way a normal exchange works, as you stay your hosted families. Now, this is when we actually reaffirmed our agreement with the sister cities. We did that there in City Hall. And as you can see, they signed it, which we showed on the video, and were presented a plaque. And then this is the plaque we put on them. And you saw in the video, the mayor went immediately to her office. We followed her there, and she put it up on the wall. She was so excited about doing that. So they presented a plaque for us to bring to Mayor Enriquez. If you would come down, we have, I call it a plaque. I don't know what you would actually call it. Oh, yeah, and it's made out of marble, by the way, and one thing that's, I'll talk about that in just a second, yeah. You getting some pictures for us there? That's perfect. Yeah, we'll send them some pictures and let them know that if they're not viewing this online. So thank you so much. You're welcome, you're welcome. Next time we'll make sure you can join us. I know you wanted to. So one of the things that we had set this exchange up as was based on music. So in the blue shirt is Jose Martinez Rios, who came from his New Mexico State, and he had his friend, and I apologize for this name, Mariana Shabukia. It's Russian, and my Russian's a little rusty. But they played a recital for 20 minutes at another place that they have that has been dedicated. It's a refurbished building to a music school down there in Lerdo. And if you guys, Ron or Cassie, please speak up at any time if you have anything you would like to add. Sunday was actually celebrated as Lerdo's birthday. You saw on the sign, it was the back is 131 days, and they just go all out. So in the left-hand side is a picture of their city, the mayor's office and the city hall, if you will, right there. They had a event with the military performing right there. And then right off to the left of that is the plaza there, which is, as you can see, is decorated. And at that particular event where there's all of the people, they would have cake, free cake for everybody in town. Could come by and get a slice of birthday cake, which was really neat. And then you saw the mariachis were playing, and we're just having a good time. After we finished with that, we went to a tour, and Francisco Tinoco was a famous, Lerdo was very proud of him, and rightfully so. He was a pilot that set some speed records for delivering mail from Mexico to New York City. And unfortunately, he had delivered, I don't know, a letter to Washington, D.C., and when he was leaving, he departed and crashed. And unfortunately, he passed away. They brought back his plane and refurbished it, and then they set up this nice little museum for him there, which is really fabulous. This is a real interesting picture. Sort of towards the evening, we had, and I'll show you the pictures where we were having dinner outside and stuff, was one of the main areas in the city, one of the halls that they had at this museum, was these paintings. And if you look around, I'm going to spell it, F-E-R-R-E-T is the artist name, Ferret. Yeah, Ferret. And you look at the beautiful picture, that's done with wine. It's like, cool. I have no idea how she did it with different wines, and there's a whole gallery there of pictures, which I thought was really kind of beautiful. There we are in the back of that building where we're just looking at the art, and they have a courtyard there, which they set up, and they went all out with because it was our last night there, sort of a farewell meal. And you can see that's what Sister Cities is about, is people sitting down across from each other, sharing a meal, sharing some wine, just getting to know each other. So it's about friendship and community. After that, on Sunday evening, it was really interesting. They had a big fiesta downtown. And in one plaza, which is the one you see on the left, they had a norteña band. You know, it was not mariachis, more modern sort of stuff, and that's there. And then down at the other end, which you saw in the video, they had a rock band, which was just playing, and everybody was at each end. And in between, they had a car show. And there's a beautiful Chevy. And then one of the other things they had there was a whole bunch, and I didn't get a picture of it, and I apologize, was Volkswagen Beetles. Mexico was the last country to produce Volkswagen Beetles. They had a special agreement with Volkswagen, and so they're very, very still popular down there. Any questions?
Tim, no, thank you. Thank you for the presentation and for the plaque that was delivered. Thank you, Ron. I don't know, at this time I want to see if Cassie McClure, you have anything you want to share?
What I'd like to share is just the warmth that we got from the delegation who took us around, who was able to show us what life was like in that city. And I think we have a lot to learn from them. The Garden City specifically, not quite similar climate, but similar enough that we could probably learn a lot of things in terms of making our city just as vibrant with some of the outreach to, you know, we could bring their gardener. We could talk to them a little bit more. And they also wanted to start more conversation about how we can help each other. And I think that is something we can develop. And yeah, of course, no one needs to see me dancing. I'm sorry about that. But you do, when in Lerdo, you do that. But I'm very grateful for the mayor of their city to be engaging and talking about hard issues of how do we come together in times like these when our countries seem to be a little bit at odds with each other, and we shouldn't be, because our communities are very similar. So I just want to thank Sister Cities for inviting me to come, and hope I did a good job representing all of y'all here in Lerdo. Thank you.
Oh, you did, absolutely. Thank you so much for going and participating. And we did sit down with their delegation, and we had a very meaningful conversation for a little over an hour or so, talking about things that we could possibly do to re-engage this relationship, whether it's educational, cultural, you know, different things that we can do to engage with their city down there. It's like Cassie mentioned, and we had the same thing. We had another Sister Cities go to Nienburg earlier. The political climate right now at the national level is a little unsettling to people in other countries, and I can fully understand that. But to me, these are the times that Sister Cities can shine. This is what it's about. You know, we are people to people citizen diplomats, and we plan on keeping this going. Thank you guys very much. Did you want to say anything wrong? Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Again, thank you, Sister Cities, for all that you do. We appreciate you. Next on the agenda, we have Jobs of the Week. Sarah Rainey.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. You'll have to excuse my voice. I've been battling the bug that everybody's been battling around here. There we go. My name is Sarah Rainey. I am the one-stop coordinator for the Southwest region of the America's Job Centers, New Mexico. So the Southwest region is from Catron County all the way to Sierra and Socorro counties. But for Las Cruces, we'd like to focus weekly on the jobs here in our local area. For the city of Las Cruces, we have a grant development and compliance specialist starting at $49,000. Right now, that's a continuous posting. We also have a 911 call taker for the city starting at $20.25 an hour, and the posting closes at the end of the month. We have a financial aid assistant at the Glitz School of Cosmetology for $14 an hour, and that one closes on the 16th, so very soon. Actually, that one already closed. I'm so sorry. Today is the 20th. We also have an emergency vehicle technician for the fleet for Doña Ana County. Doña Ana County actually has several positions, so I went ahead and listed 2. We have a building attendant for facilities and services as well for the county. Heavy equipment operator for PVB fabrications, starting at $32 an hour, and that one closes on the 11th of February. And we have a senior lobby services specialist for West Star Bank, starting at $41, and that one closes at the beginning of the month of February. I did want to mention that this month for in our office, we have the employer in-office networking. That is open not just for employers, that's for job seekers as well. So anybody that's wanting to come and network with employers and find out about new opportunities, employers come, show off your opportunities, and find your next candidates. You can come as well. There's free registration for that. You can register on Employee NM. We also have Mock It Till You Rock It. Some of you are familiar with that. That's our annual event that we do with the juniors and seniors here in our local area. And we're looking for volunteers. That event is in March, but I wanted to get the word out. Council members, come see us, come interview. Anybody in the audience, everyone's has the opportunity to be a mentor to these kiddos. Like I said, it's juniors and seniors, and we do mock interviews. We encourage them to have 2 to 3, hopefully 3 interviews while they're there, so they can get a variety of situations and sit with a variety of people, because everybody's different when they interview and then when they're interviewed as well. So it's a good opportunity for these juniors and seniors to give them a little bit of real life practice. So that's going to be coming up. I'm going to continue to mention it. And if you would like to sign up, you can sign up on Employee NM as well. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Next is a conflict of interest statement. Does any member of City Council, City Manager, or any member of the city staff have any known conflict of interest with any item on the agenda?
None. None.
None.
None. None.
Next is public participation will allow up to 3 minutes, no pending litigation or items on the non-consent agenda. And Katrina will usher you to the podium.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. During the global war on terror, I worked in aerial surveillance at the highest levels.
Excuse me, if you could state your name for the record.
Jason Smith. Are we good?
Good, go ahead.
During the global war on terror, I worked on aerial surveillance at the highest levels. These were careful, disciplined professionals, the kind of people movies are made out of, and there were actually movies made from some of these people. And even with the layers of review and with every intention of doing the right thing, still made catastrophic mistakes. Not because we were reckless, but because we trusted data that looked conclusive. That experience is why I'm deeply concerned watching cities outsource suspicion to AI systems, especially through unethical companies like Flock Safety and their unsecured devices that are all over this town. Because when a tool exists that makes judgment feel easier, it will be used, and human discretion quietly atrophies. In Aurora, Colorado, an automated license plate reader system falsely flagged a vehicle as stolen. A family was forced face down on hot pavement at gunpoint, children crying, parents cuffed. That mistake ended in a $1.9 million settlement. In that moment, the error rate of the system didn't matter, which is about 10%, by the way. The database did. Felony stops are dangerous affairs and easy to imagine, one turning deadly and sudden movement or misunderstanding causing that to happen. Flock calls this safety. That's their branding. Their own patent calls it a dynamic surveillance network. It's not safety, it's surveillance. It's suspicion, not safety. The Supreme Court has been clear. In Carpenter versus United States, the court ruled that people do not lose their expectation of privacy simply by moving through public space. Long-term tracking of a person's movements requires a warrant. Flock creates as a much more intrusive record without judicial oversight. This is why deactivation is not enough. These systems collect, retain, and share data. As long as the cameras remain, the infrastructure remains, and so does the risk. Many other cities have already stepped away. You have that option. Not safety, surveillance. It's not safety. It's AI outsourced suspicion, self-censorship for a watch citizenry, and a system that would make Orwell roll over in his grave and ask, did you even read the book? I urge you to remove all Flock ALPR cameras and cancel the contract with Flock Safety. Thank you.
Mayor, council folks here today, and those watching online, I'm Lynn Moorer. Today, we delve further into the city's non-compliance with the lead and copper rule. In addition to citing inspection reports and inventory records to document our findings, we're sharing excerpts from a master spreadsheet the city has provided in response to IPRA requests. Las Cruces Utilities is required to, and promised it would put disadvantaged properties at the head of the line and prioritize their investigation and, if needed, pipe replacement. The document containing this promise was provided in Handout A at the November 17, 2025 meeting. All reports of inspections carried out during a week this past November, selected at random, were requested under IPRA. Handout 1 is two spreadsheets that show disadvantaged properties are not actually prioritized by the city. The disadvantaged column is highlighted. Of 42 inspections conducted the week of November 2nd through 8th, 74% were not at disadvantaged properties. Only 26% inspected that week are disadvantaged. This is disappointing, to say the least. If disadvantaged properties were actually prioritized as the city promised and is required to do, not one property that is not disadvantaged would be inspected until all the disadvantaged ones have been inspected, absent an overriding reason. We've previously noted inaccuracies spread throughout the Utilities Department's records. Today, we bring more evidence of the city's shambolic approach, evinced by records that are inconsistent with each other and riven with errors. All properties we're talking about today are designated as in disadvantaged neighborhoods. A mobile home community on Spruce Avenue of 110 properties is one of the few mobile home communities the city has included on the inventory map. Handout 2 includes inventory records for a sampling of those properties. Not a single one of the 110 is located on the map where its address says it is. There are no street signs in this community which reflect the street names that appear on the inventory map. I've checked it out. If a citizen were to look at the map, then drive over to find a property they're interested in, they wouldn't find it where the map says it is. Plus, not one of the 110 properties has its inventory record match the information on this spreadsheet as to what the system-owned service line is made of. Every one of the properties says the system-owned service line is non-lead plastic on the inventory record. In contrast, the spreadsheet says each one is non-lead other. I'm not clear as to what array of materials non-lead other can cover, but it's plainly a different classification than non-lead plastic. Thus, for all of the 110 properties, the city's records fail to agree and are inaccurate in at least 2 respects. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Mayor, City Council, I'm Liz Rodriguez Johnson. Analysis of the city's noncompliance with the lead and copper rule related to disadvantaged properties continues. There's a mobile home community on West Hadley with 220 properties according to the inventory record. See handout A. 176 of the properties are listed on the spreadsheet. Like the properties on Spruce Avenue Lynn Moore just talked about, not a single one of the properties on West Hadley has its inventory record match the spreadsheet regarding the piping classification. Plus, handout B shows 44 additional properties on the inventory map designated with a yellow triangle, which don't appear on the spreadsheet. It also includes a sampling of the inventory records missing from the spreadsheet. Las Cruces Utilities submitted the spreadsheet for its inventory, which was required to be accurate and include all properties within the city. Thus, the spreadsheet they submitted is inconsistent with what appears on the inventory record, as well as being significantly incomplete. Handout C shows 21 properties on Silverado Loop, whose customer-owned service lines are all listed as installed in 1936 and classified on the spreadsheet as having system-owned service lines that are non-lead other. By contrast, all are classified in their inventory record as non-lead plastic, a clear difference. While these properties are designated as being in a disadvantaged neighborhood, and the city says all the customer-owned service lines were installed in 1936, all 21 properties appear to be in a newer subdivision. In fact, a check of 3 of the properties on Realtor.com says they were built in 2022 or 23. See handout D. Handout E shows the spreadsheet says that there's 11 properties designated disadvantaged on Blue Stem Street, close to Silverado Loop. All the same facts apply. The customer-owned service lines are said to be installed in 1936. The spreadsheet says systems-owned service lines are non-lead other. The inventory record says non-lead plastic. They can't both be true. Realtor.com says all houses were built in 2023. Properties on Blue Stem Street have an added inaccuracy. The inventory map doesn't correctly specify their address. Instead of Blue Stem Street, the map shows the street as Nightfall Court. It's hard to believe properties on Silverado Loop or Blue Stem Street could reasonably be classified as disadvantaged. Nor can I believe any service lines in this newer subdivision were actually installed in 1936. It's a travesty if the Utilities Department is inspecting these newer properties before every property on Mesquite Street and the older parts of the city are inspected. Thank you.
My name is Fred Huff. 1 week ago, there were 11 illegal encampments in the Byrne Lake City Park area. They had been multiplying like crazy over the last few weeks. With the cooler weather, my wife and I are constantly smelling the smoke from their illegal campfires. One encampment did not last 24 hours before it completely burned. Another encampment that has been there since January 2025 looked like it was a stolen bicycle receiving point. Every day there were 3 or 4 bicycles there, different bicycles. Last Monday morning, something happened that gave me hope. Some LCPD officers and the new park rangers walked the area and talked to some of these trespassers on city property. When I talked to the officers, they told me that the trespassers had told them that the Community of Hope had been telling them that it was okay to set their encampments up in the Byrne Lake area. If this is true, I want to know who gave the Community of Hope the authority to tell these people to set their illegal encampments up over in the Byrne Lake area. Over the next 2 days, the LCPD, park rangers, and Mano y Mano got most of these illegal encampments removed. It went from 11 illegal encampments to just 2. That gave Parks and Rec or Public Works, whoever's in charge of that area, a chance to go into the area and remove the foliage and weeds that these people are hiding their tents under. Unfortunately, this area is treated as abandoned property by whoever's in charge, and very little maintenance is done to keep the foliage and weeds under control. So now the illegal encampments are once again blossoming. As of this morning, there are 4 illegal encampments in the area. The big question is, though, where do they go? I believe it is very inhumane to keep pushing these unfortunate people from one spot to another. I also feel that it is very inhumane to keep giving these people handouts instead of giving them a hand up to work on improving their lives and be able to reintegrate back into society. We need some mechanism that has a designated spot where these people can stay and receive services to help them if they want. Hopefully this new city council will look at passing a public camping ordinance that gives the LCPD the tools to direct these people to a secure location so they can start their journey back into society if they want. The city owns plenty of property where this location could be. And no, such an ordinance would not be to criminalize homelessness. It would be to help get these people off the streets and back into productive lives. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, Juan Garcia. We know there's a healthcare provider crisis in New Mexico. This issue has been widely reported and for many, like myself, experienced through a loss of individual providers. From KOB, and I quote, a survey of over 1,200 physicians who currently practice or have previously practiced in New Mexico shows 65% of respondents considered leaving the state, with all but one of the state's 33 counties designated as having a shortage of healthcare providers. Over 80% of the physicians who plan to leave New Mexico say no cap on punitive damages is their main reason. One lawmaker in the committee meeting Monday said the threat that they may use to get you to settle is punitive damage. They threaten those doctors with the fact that if you don't settle, we will come after you, punitive damage, end of quote. So why should an issue that affects everyone, blue or red, man or woman, be so contentious? On the other side stands safety over profit. a dark money group whose donors are funded by the trial lawyers who was sued by the State Ethics Commission for refusing to comply with the state law requiring them to disclose the sources of their funding. NMSOP is the public face of the opposition to Think New Mexico's proposed reforms to the medical malpractice law during the last legislative session. Reforms that Think New Mexico has proposed, like capping attorneys' fees in medical malpractice lawsuits, would put more money in patients' pockets, but would reduce the amount of money going to their attorneys. This is what needs to be done. And this is what is needed by citizens of New Mexico. Instead, the NMSOP executive director, one of our counselors, is blaming, and I quote, insurance and corporate CEOs as they sip bourbon from their yachts. It's a cute visual, sipping bourbon while you're on your yacht. Who pay lobbyists to silence your pleas and think tanks to sow disinformation to try and win at any cost. That is why we will stand firmly against attempts to cap attorney fees or install caps for damages paid in malpractice cases, end of quote. So the question to the citizens is, who do you think is getting rich? Suffering patients without providers? Or the lawyers and dark money group like Safety Over Profit? Think about it. Thank you.
Derek Pacheco for the record. I wanted to address what I'm about to address to everyone here during the regularly scheduled open to the public Board of County Commission meeting this past Tuesday. However, I was arrested right before I could say what I'm about to say right now. Youth mentorship is extremely important to me. And I have a project that I've been developing on my own in support of youth mentorship that is much needed here in Las Cruces. I've been working with Lindsay Humphreys of the Economic Development Department. She's in the Technology and Innovation Office, or TIO. I've been speaking with Jamie Chester of the Food, Hunger, and Ag Program, along with David White, the Community Business and Rural Development Specialist. I've been developing what's in this binder, what I've been calling a seed bank. This is to teach youth and adults alike how to forage for seeds, such as the ones that I was arrested with, like these tomato seeds, pink furry boar from Wild Boar Farms. I've been beta testing this seed bank that I've come up with my own family. So this is actually a project that works with 4-year-olds and 7-year-olds alike. There's an AI component to this because there's a software companion to this hardware seed bank. Anyone can check it out. It's live right now. www.royalrootgarden.com. Root is a play on words. It's actually a homage to the Camino Real, where this project was initially based on. It was initially located at 646 South Mesquite Street, across the street from my grandma's home. check it out, give me some feedback. I'd love to officially present my project to the City of Las Cruces and thank everyone for their continued mentorship to the community and your continued service. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, my name is Lucy Silva. I understand that on May 6, 2024, the council voted unanimously to contract with a company called Flock Safety for license plate readers. It was my understanding at the time that these readers were to collect information regarding speeders and red light runners. And now I see and hear that this is going much further beyond surveillance. Flock Safety, according to the ACLU website, is passing this surveillance data on to ICE. They are selling their cameras to police departments and private customers across the nations and allowing the police to do nationwide searches. They have also, according to the ACLU website, revealed that a police officer in Texas used the systems to search nationwide for a woman who'd had an abortion illegal in their state. Flock is now expanding the power of the system itself. I urge the council to please delete this contract and remove the cameras from the Las Cruces community to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name is Fred Miller. I'm also speaking about Flock cameras, and I want the city to cancel the contract, but beyond that, I hope that legal will look into actually getting rid of the cameras, making sure that the Flock Safety Company does not just move them from public property to private property. We need to limit their access even if they move them onto private property. Please look into that. Thank you.
Councilors, Mayor, my name is Donna Stryker. I'd like to thank the Chief of Police and the Department for the town hall last Thursday here in Chambers. The attitude of the police officers, the deputy chiefs, and our Chief of Police was excellent. The chambers were very full with citizens. I appreciated the handling of an extremely difficult subject, that of public safety and the issues with juvenile crime in Las Cruces and the state. The statistics are always good to see in black and white. On Monday, January 12th, Senator Crystal Brantley spoke to our group Businesses for a Safer Las Cruces on a legislative overview. Public safety and juvenile crime are on the radar for the legislature this 30-day session. And what was really encouraging to hear from the senator was the reputation of our Chief of Police and the respect for him, his department, and his efforts to educate the legislators in Santa Fe. And it was reassuring to hear that the chief is respected and his department by both sides of the aisle, and that when he comes before them, they listen. We do have a long way to go, yes. We do need changes to the laws as it applies to bonding, juvenile offenders, and competency, yes. But the chief explained that at the town hall it's going to take time, and the small wins are still wins. The efforts to show true transparency are appreciated, and I would like to see more transparency as it applies to the budget, the changes to the budget, and the errors that are and were uncovered. I appreciate that this is a difficult job for you as counselors. I believe you are literally thrown into this job after you win your election. There's basically on-the-job training, and there's a lot of seat of the pants. No formal, true counselor training is my understanding. I think it might be an area to spend a little more time and a little more money on in the future, so our counselors are provided the best opportunity to do a great job for our city, our citizens, and our community. And what you do without all that is pretty amazing still. Thank you, Chief Story, and our deputy chiefs. Your many dedicated men and women on the force. You are all human, and if anyone in this room has never made a mistake in judgment, in life, in relationships, or in general, then you are an amazing person, with exception to the fact that humans err. In our city, our LCPD are not perfect, neither one, but neither are we. And it's good to remember the truth of who we are from time to time and reflect on the difficulty of others' jobs, their dedication, and appreciate all the things that our LCPD does right and all the things that our city does right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and Chief of Police. Tim Jenkins here. I would like to thank our Chief of Police as well for his participation at the Town Hall last week and for taking time out of his schedule to serve the community once and again. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to our entire police department for the work they do day and night to do their absolute best to keep our city safe. Public safety is something that many of us only think about when something goes wrong. But for our Las Cruces Police Department, it is their sole responsibility day in and day out, during every single holiday, every day, and every night, 24/7. It is all they eat, sleep, and breathe. Their work often happens quietly with little to no recognition. But behind the scenes, our officers do far more than just respond to calls. They build relationships, support local events, work with businesses and schools, and are the ones to step in during moments of crisis. Our officer service requires courage, patience, and professionalism. Policing today is anything but easy. Our officers face increased demands, complex situations, and constant scrutiny, all while being asked to make split-second decisions that can affect many lives at a moment's notice. Despite these challenges, our officers continue to serve with dedication and commitment to our community. And let's not forget their families and husbands and wives and children that they leave behind day and night, never knowing if they will return home. Today, we, as a community, want to wish our entire police department a sincere and heartfelt thank you for what you do to keep our community safe from the pure evil that lurks in the dark. We have your back, we support you, and you are in our prayers. God bless and protect you all.
Good afternoon. My name's Jim Hurst. I have many concerns today. First, there is no protocol or procedure for groups to use City Hall facilities. Different groups have used them over time, but I can't figure out how to apply for the space, how to reserve it, what the requirements are, if any. As far as I can tell, there are no applications, no forms, no records. That is a defect. I hope the city corrects it. Also, when you correct it, liability insurance for small groups for a political or religious event are simply, those policies are simply not available for any price. If I had $1,000 to buy a certificate for $1 million worth of event insurance, I could not get it. So it's unreasonable to require it. I am deeply distressed by the activities of my president, the commander-in-chief of our military, and the person who has the authority to hire agents to operate in America who conceal their identity and behave outrageously. I see how important Posse Comitatus is because local residents need to have control of everybody in their jurisdiction who has authority to arrest people and to shoot people and all that kind of stuff. Legal or local authority over local law enforcement is essential. We need to know who these people are and what they're doing, and they need to answer to us. As it is, we have a bunch of madmen running around governed by a madman who is not only mad, but malicious. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, I will read a closed meeting statement. The Las Cruces City Council met in a closed meeting on January 20th, 2026 at 11:01 a.m. The following were in attendance: Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Munoz, Councilor Bencomo, Councilor McClure, Councilor Coran, Councilor Harris, Elizabeth Teeters, the Director of Economic Development, Interim Assistant City Manager David Cedillos, City Attorneys Henry Becker, Brad Douglas, and the City Manager Ikani Tamupayao, also the City Clerk Christine Rivera. The meeting adjourned at 11:53 a.m. The Las Cruces City Council met in the closed session to discuss the purchase, acquisition or disposal of real property by the public body which is closed pursuant to New Mexico State Statute 1978, Section 10-15-1H8. To discuss pending litigation regarding Paris Peña Lee versus City of Las Cruces, civil matter number 22-960-WJGBW, which is closed pursuant to the New Mexico State Statute 1978, Section 10-15-1H7. Next, we'll have the acceptance of agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Harris?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. First item is 8.1, public hearing required. So the public hearing is now open at 2:04 p.m. Is there anyone here for or against the issuance of this license? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed at 2:04 p.m. Resolution number 26-094, a resolution approving the request for a craft distiller third location liquor license with premises consumption and package sales to Icebox Brewery located at 1840 Avenida Mesilla.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, Adam.
Thank you, sir. Adam Ochoa, Community Development for the record. Before you, we have a proposed liquor license for what is known as Pharmacia, located at 1840 Avenida Mesilla. This is pursuant to the New Mexico State statutes. The applicant has submitted and received a preliminary approval for a craft distiller's third liquor license. It's liquor license number BLA 00000013785 with on-premise consumption and package sales. Like I said before, the Alcohol Beverage Control Division of the state did provide preliminary approval to the city of Las Cruces on November 24th of last year. Staff did request an extension in order for us to review and provide liquor license reports from all affected departments. Our reviewing staff saw no issues with the proposed application. Shown here, the subject property right here on Avenida Mesilla, right at the edge of what is the city limits, right next to the village or town of Mesilla. So your options with that is 1, to vote yes and approve the proposed liquor license, 2, to vote no and deny. The ABC will be notified of the vote, and the application process will continue with them for this proposed new liquor license. That is the conclusion of my presentation, and I stand for questions.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions? Seeing none, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-094. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Harris?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 8.2, resolution number 26095, a resolution to accept the City of Las Cruces Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. My name is Josie Trevino. I'm the Comptroller for the City of Las Cruces. Today, we will be presenting the fiscal year 2025 audit results, and those are for the dates of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Before we proceed, I would like to extend a special thank you to all the individuals who contributed to the audit process, with particular recognition to Accounting and Treasury for their diligence and preparation for the FY25 audit. They're probably behind me, and they're probably all wearing suits, so that is Accounting and Treasury behind us. So the city engages an independent external auditor each year to ensure transparency, accountability, and compliance with financial practices. Today we have Mr. Jesse Olivar from PB&H. He's our external auditor who will be presenting the results of the audit and provide an overview of FY25.
Thank you, Josie. Before I begin, thank you for having me, Mayor and council members. First of all, again, I want to thank the accounting team for the amazing work. I know they're kind of spread out throughout here. They did an amazing job working with us, communicating, handling any requests that we have, because as you know, we have a lot of requests. Today, I'll be presenting the financial report for fiscal year 2025. And kind of going over the highlights. So I'll be following along as well. There are 3 reports that you will find in the comprehensive financial report. The first one being the auditor's report. Here is where we give an opinion on the report itself. And as you can see, the city received an unmodified opinion. What the unmodified opinion means is that this is a very clean report. This is the best option that you can receive on an opinion. The financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So again, great job, city, and all those who helped. There are 2 other reports. The first one being that you will see in there is the generally accepted government accounting standards, also referred to as GAGAS or Yellow Book. With the Yellow Book, it requires us to look at internal controls over processes, cash receipting, cash accounts payable, things like that. On top of that, New Mexico audit rule requires us to expand on that test work, where we will look at items like travel and per diem, procurement, and gas cards. These items are selected randomly, where we have a team of auditors come in and review those and make sure that we have the correct internal processes in place. So as you can see, there's 2 findings there. Findings are not always considered bad things. They are just items to note. In the audit rule, they have us write down anything that we find. What we like to use it as is more as a tool to expand on our processes or maybe clean up some of the processes. I will go over those findings later on in this presentation. The last report is the compliance supplement on major federal programs and internal control over compliance. The city receives federal awards, large amounts. We are required to test anything over $750,000. This year, the Office of Management and Budget from the federal government supplies a compliance supplement, and with that compliance supplement is a guidance to test those federal awards. It was released late in this year. Normally, it's released around August, and we are not able to discuss delays until that is released. So we did not see that until the early December, and so that's why we're having to exit a little bit later this year. Okay. And we did have a clean opinion on that as well. So we are opining on that report. The next thing, communication. I love coming here during the audit season. We have great communication, seeing the decorations, and I get to come during the holiday time, so I do enjoy it. I have a great communication with management from the top. Tone at the top is great, and so I enjoy working with the accounting staff. And as you can see, we don't have any difficulties encountered during our audit. This is required to be reported to you all, the council. Okay. In addition, I'm required to communicate any significant audit adjustments or unadjusted differences found throughout the audit to be immaterial. So now what that means is we might have some immaterial items that aggregate into a larger issue. As you can see, we don't have any issues here at the city. So again, great job, but I am required to communicate that with you. Next, the annual comprehensive financial report. So GASB, which is also referred to as Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, they establish a baseline of what is to be reported in the financial statements and required supplementary information. So this is kind of like a minimum baseline of what is to be reported. However, governments are encouraged to go beyond those minimum requirements and present an annual comprehensive financial report. We call it an ACFR for short. Inside of this ACFR, what you all have is additional information such as principal taxpayers included in the statistical section. Okay. Now, the Certificate for Achievement for Excellence in Reporting. So the city has received this award for the past 21 years. So, I mean, this is a lot of work that goes into this report. As you know, I mean, this is a very large report that takes a great team to put together. As you can see, the city is one of the 4 New Mexico municipalities to receive the award. This is last year in 2024. And one of 6 New Mexico governments to receive the GFOA Triple Crown Award. So, again, great job. Back to our findings, we did have 2 findings. The first one being over internal controls over cash receipts. This finding was involved with South Central Solid Waste. The other finding is WEX fuel cards regarding premium fuel being used and in some of our vehicles. And we kind of just want to expand on those internal controls, maybe outline what fuel should be used for which vehicles. Certain vehicles require it, certain, normally with turbo and things like that, require premium fuel. Others do not. So we want to outline that in our internal control manual. To our financial statements. The first financial statements that you will see is the government-wide statements. Here we present long-term assets, long-term liabilities. This is called full accrual. Within our long-term assets, you'll see capital assets like buildings, equipment, streets. And within our liabilities, we have some bonds, notes, compensated absences that will be reported. These long-term liabilities also include para and retiree health care that's contributed by the city. So you will see those as well in the government-wide statements. On the government-wide, you'll have two columns. First one being the governmental activities, which include governmental funds such as general funds, special revenue funds, which we have 31, debt service funds, and capital project funds of 21. The other column that you will see in this report is business type activities, which will be all 7 enterprise funds. These include utilities, airport, and such. This is to give you a better picture of the government-wide. We have a graph here showing a 3-year trend, and you can see that it is pretty steady year to year from 2023 to our current fiscal year of 2025 being reported, with our assets being the largest. The net position is our equity. Okay. And some financial highlights. We can see that for the government-wide, our assets increased by $23 million and have remained steady from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25. And we do have some changes in assets variations over year to year. As far as liabilities, we see a decrease in $16 million, attributable to the net effect of a decrease in a $20 million legal settlement payable and from the prior year, so fiscal year 24, and a decrease in $10 million grant fund advance. We also have an increase in the pension liability. That does fluctuate quite a bit. That is our para-retiree health care done by actuarials, that is kind of an estimate that does fluctuate. So you will see larger amount fluctuations in our pension liabilities. Next, after our government-wide, we have government fund financial statements. Here's where you will not see the long-term liabilities, long-term assets, and the only receivables that we will see are what is due within 60 days, okay? The columns that you will see are our major funds, along with the remaining special revenue funds. We have 31, the debt service fund of 1, and the capital projects, okay? And like I said, you will not see our long-term assets and our long-term liabilities. To comment on our revenue and expenditures, the bond proceeds are included as revenue in the report, and our bond payments and purchase or acquisition of capital assets are included as expenditures in these government fund financial statements. Here we have another graph kind of representing our general fund, which is our operations, which is one of our major concerns as far as what we want to look at. Here you can see assets, liabilities, debt position again, and the overall trend over the last 3 years. Again, pretty steady in our over those 3 years. Here is a representation of our assets within the general fund. As you can see, cash and investments is the major portion of our assets in the general fund, totaling around $46 million. And then so on and so forth with the accounts receivables, leases, and inventory. In the general fund, assets decreased $6 million, primarily attributable to the decrease of $6 million in cash. Next, liabilities. Liabilities, as you can see, accounts payable is the major portion of our liabilities in the general fund, with the deferred leases being next, along with property taxes and accrued liabilities, so more of your payroll taxes on that one. Liabilities decreased $1 million, and attributable to the decrease of $1 million in accounts payable. Here's another representation year to year from 2023 of our revenues and expenditures. In this graph, we do have transfers, so that you'll see that as an expenditure, and you can see that our expenditures exceed our revenue for the general fund, and that is because of our transfers are included in this. So that would be transfers out. Enterprise funds, our business activities, like I said, utilities, sewer, airport, they are presented separately as business type activities. They are full accrual like our government-wide statements. So you will see your long-term assets, you will see your long-term liabilities, and we have 7 of those. Again, we have a 3-year trend. Assets, liabilities, net position. You can see that the assets increased by $8 million due to the increase in the acquisition of capital assets. And liabilities decreased by $5 million, close to $5 million, primarily due to the decrease in bonds payable. Okay. And last, we have our enterprise funds revenues and expenses, and as you can see, they are fairly consistent year to year from 2023, so nothing large to note there. And that concludes the presentation. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you. And any questions by council? Councilor Harris.
Thank you. If you could go back to slide 18. I'm new at this, so. Sorry, not that one. Maybe 19? Not that one. 20? Okay. I was actually looking for the general fund one, but this has the same question.
Okay.
So you said that this includes transfers out. Can you explain a bit more of those transfers and?
Definitely. So our general fund is transferring, so what it is, we have expenditures throughout the year. Transfers are done from general fund to other funds for specific items. Special revenue funds require a certain things to do, cover projects.
For matchings and things,
yes.
okay.
And so that comes out of the general fund. So that's why it's included as an expenditure.
Okay, and then here is it kind of the same
Yes.
deal since we're spending more than we're taking in on our enterprise funds?
And right. Sorry.
Yeah, 17, that was right.
Mayor, Councilor Harris, is this the slide? Okay. What was your question on it?
Actually, I think my question on this one had maybe been answered, so I guess the statement in the presentation was our expenditures are higher than our revenues because of transfers. And
Mayor,
Yeah.
Councilor Harris, our expenditures are higher, so our revenues, but that's part of doing, the more services we provide, that ups our expenditures. Our revenues may also go up, which means we need more individuals to capture those. He's just telling you that expenditures in here include both expenses and transfers.
Okay, so things that, like we wrote a check out of the general fund, that is a direct expenditure, and then a transfer out of this fund to housing or something to cover a match is also an expenditure.
Mayor, Councilor Harris, you're correct. So anything that's a direct payment, we paid for, I don't know.
Yeah, salaries.
Salaries, yes. for example, my salary, yes, that's general fund. Say we get a grant and they require a match, for example, for transit, what we do is we transfer the funds from the general fund to the transit fund just because they have different accounting reporting requirements. So the matches we do to transit, that's considered a transfer.
Okay. And since these two funds, well, I know the enterprise funds is more than one fund, but general fund and enterprise funds were specifically included here. Overall, my understanding is the budget is balanced.
Mayor, Councilor Harris, the reason the general fund and the enterprise are shown here is because they're both major funds. So part of the requirement is they have to, the auditors have to show the major funds. So the general fund is a major operating, and the enterprise is also a major major fund. That is the reason those are being presented.
Okay. Thanks.
Mayor, Councilor Harris, Leslie Doyle for the record. I did want to add also the majority of the transfers that we're talking about here are related to debt service. So the debt service funds, what would happen is we transfer from general fund to a debt service fund, and in that fund is where we pay from to actually pay off the debt. That is by and large what our transfers are, the majority of our transfers. We do have the other ones that Ms. Tribune spoke of. However, the majority of them are related to our debt service. Additionally, I wanted to add to your question, if our budget is balanced, the answer is yes. We do have savings and fund balance that we can utilize. However, we as an organization are working to make sure that we do utilize less of that savings, and that is the goal both this year and next.
Thanks. That's really what I was getting at.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Munoz.
Mayor, City Council, I have a couple of questions. First, thank you to the staff, and thanks to you for the information and your hard work in getting this put together. In your findings, you mentioned the WEX fuel card anomaly. How much was that?
I don't have it on here as presented.
Okay.
It is a very minimal amount.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Munoz, we do actually, this comes in handy.
Okay, it's somewhere in there.
We
Okay.
do have the findings in here.
Okay.
It is where, should be, single audit, and on there it'll say what they tested, how many they tested, 1 out of 4 vehicles. So the details are in here. In this particular instance, it was some vehicles for the police department. They used premium. In information we have on the processes, the premium is only to be used for certain vehicles, and some of the vehicles that were using premium were not included on that list. So that was, this one right here was a process, and Ms. Mercedes has started working on the fleet, what they're gonna be doing to make sure these are, we're complying with everything we have on there for our gas, and pretty much using the tax dollar payers where we need them, and if premium's not needed, then no premium should be used.
Gotcha. But as far as the amount you felt, obviously if it's $4 or $400 or $4,000, we all have to be good stewards of taxpayer money.
Yes.
But you're not anticipating that it was more than a few $100s?
No, it was a few transactions. So
Okay.
even one transaction
Okay.
would show up, because if it says premium is only to be used for vehicle A and it was used on vehicle B, then they would note it.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's very important and good to hear that we'll tighten up on that, and that it was not a major. Oh yes, you have the amount.
Yes, so on page 315, it says, our audit of the City of Las Cruces fuel card transactions for the fiscal year based on sample testing disclosed that 11 out of 25 transactions, police department vehicles totaling $494.83 were for premium grade gasoline. That doesn't mean the increase, that means the total that was used for premium was 494. Had they used regular, it could have been 300. So the difference was less than the 494.83.
Gotcha. And in comparison to the overall amount that's used on fuel, Okay. I don't want to use the term drop in the bucket, but in either case, that's good news. I think we can tighten up on that. And, again, good use of taxpayer money, but it wasn't an incredible amount. Okay, good. And the other piece, too, that I'm sure we'll work with the city manager and the rest of the team, the numbers are flat and consistent overall, but I also want to keep in mind that we're growing as a city. So in 2000, we were about 75,000 of population, and now we're projected at around 117 or 118,000 for 2026. So we'll have to make those numbers match up as our population grows. We'll need to continue to provide services and provide service delivery at a high-quality level, and so definitely something to be aware of for future forecasting. Thank you.
Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you both for the presentation. I actually just wanted to bring up the director of the South Central Solid Waste Authority, who is here to perhaps speak on the corrective actions taken at the authority. I know that the Inspector General has spoken publicly here about the issues, but I thought it was a good opportunity for the authority to speak on the changes that have been made since October.
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, and I just wanted to note that the South Central Solid Waste finding was a self-report. So South Central did contact me. I contacted state auditor, and we let our external auditors know. So when they came, they already had the case. So this one was something that we reported.
Thank you for that note.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors. My name is Jose Gallegos, Executive Director for South Central Solid Waste Authority. I just wanted to take the moment to assure you that our staff has taken great measures of implementing internal controls to control any voided transactions, which was the case about a year ago. Ms. Rosa Montoya, I'll ask him to stand, and Renee Ruiz. These two individuals in late 2024 were two key individuals that discovered the transactions that were occurring. Over several weeks, they developed and implemented internal controls. The total amount of the voided transactions that were occurring were under $100,000. Our revenues, just to put that in perspective, were about 12 million a year, more or less, from our tipping fees. So it was a drop in the bucket, so to speak. However, with their quick action, they were able to identify the issues and implement internal controls, which now, at the time when it was discovered, there were several dozen of transactions that were being voided at one of our transfer stations. With internal controls that have now been implemented, it's less than 10 per month, and they're of a different nature. They're basically transactions now that have to be replaced with a corrective transaction rather than totally being voided. So great job to them and our staff that have implemented those internal controls. So again, we believe we have the process better controlled now, and we are looking at other opportunities to make sure that we catch anything as soon as it is discovered. With that, any questions?
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming up and speaking to that. And yes, thank you to Rosa and the rest of the team.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Any other questions? Done. Well, thank you, Leslie, and the accounting team, everyone that was a part of this audit. I would like to recognize you all. So go ahead, please stand up, those of you from the accounting team. Let's give them a hand. Thank you for all your work. I know it is a time when it becomes anxious time whenever you have the auditor show up. But we appreciate it. We look forward to it because we always want to build on it and improve and get better at what we do. So thank you all. With that, Christine.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-095. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse,
Yes.
Counselor Harris,
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo,
Yes.
Counselor Cran,
Yes.
Counselor Munoz,
Yes.
and Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 8.3, resolution number 26-096, a resolution authorizing the City of Las Cruces to accept budget adjustments.
Move to approve.
Second?
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, staff, and public. My name is Vanessa Perez, and I am one of your budget analysts. Before you today is a resolution to accept various budget adjustments for fiscal year 2026. Before we dive into the overview of adjustments, I just want to share a few reminders. The adjustments presented today are primarily going to focus on reconciling our fund balances to the ACFR that was just approved. The data on this presentation is a summary of all of the adjustments requested, but if you would like detailed information, please refer to your packets. We are increasing our general fund revenues by about $9.8 million to match current revenue trends. We are also adjusting some of our transfers coming out of the general fund. The general fund is transferring $200,000 to airport to continue its regular operations, and we are reducing a transfer to Fund 5420, and this is due to a change in accounting methods. The total of all general fund adjustments requested give us a total increase in revenues of about $9.8 million and a decrease in transfers of about $4.2 million. Public Works, Community Development, Airport, and Parks and Rec are all decreasing their operational budgets through various funds. This is to fit within the funding parameters of their respective funds. Airport is no longer expecting to receive $20,000 in revenues from one of their events, and we are now adjusting their budget to reflect that. South Central Solid Waste is budgeting $96,000 in investment income, and this is to match their current revenues. The last two line items are linked together. Quality of Life received a grant for the library and for a bookmobile. The whole grant was initially recorded under the Public Works Department for the library because Quality of Life didn't have a quote for the bookmobile. They now have a quote for that, and they are requesting to move some of that grant money from Public Works into Quality of Life. Essentially, we're just moving grant money from one department to another so that they can use it for the proper purposes. On screen, you'll see a list of various transfers between various funds. The remainder of the slides are now going to be related to the Utilities Department. The Utilities Department is adjusting revenues in various funds, and this is to match current revenue trends. They are now going to record the environmental gross tax receipts of about $2.2 million in their funds. This was previously recorded in the general fund, and we would transfer that money over to the department. To remove the middleman, we are now going to record that revenue within utilities. Utilities is adjusting their expenditures throughout various funds, and this is to better match their current operational needs. This is a continuation of the previous slide. Again, Utilities is adjusting their expenditures to match their current operational needs. All four adjustments on screen are tied to two separate loans. Utilities is requesting to budget the revenue for both loans as they are still expecting to receive that money. And they are also requesting to budget for expenditures in each loan to spend down those balances. The next four slides are all transfers within utilities funds. These transfers are made according to the budgetary needs of each fund. This is slide 2 of the transfers. Slide 3 of the transfers. And this is the last slide of the utility transfers. The only line item that I would like to point your attention to is the very last one. It's the one for $1 million. This is tied to something that I just spoke about a couple of slides back. This was a transfer that we would send over to utilities after recording their environmental gross receipts tax. Like I mentioned, we're no longer doing that transfer. We're not going to have that middleman anymore. They're going to record the revenue within their own funds. Before you are your council options, and I stand for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-096. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Harris?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Munoz?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 8.4, resolution number 26-097, a resolution amending the FY 2026 through 2031 capital improvement program.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Cynthia Lamillo. I'm the Capital Improvements Program Manager, and today I'm going to present a few CIP amendments. We're going to highlight some adjustments. We're also going to highlight completed projects and 2 funding related to capital outlay. However, for specific details and complete list of amendments, please refer to your packet. We're going to start with the amendments to bring in additional funding into the capital improvement projects. Some of these ones have received grants, and some of them have just been allocated additional funding to continue moving forward. We have the Pioneer Women's Park improvement. This relates to multiple general improvements such as benches and just the gazebo as well. So this project will have now a 741. Fire Station 4 remodel, that includes everything, major improvements like the bathrooms, will have an increase that will total of $550,000. Electric buses has an increase as well, to a total of $6.5 million. The stormwater system mapping, which is basically to map all of the stormwater system, which include the ponds, retention ponds, and any of the pipes, will go up to $100,000, and this reconstruction of Sacramento Street will go now to $1.5. Now I want to highlight 3 completed projects, and you will see a deduction in their amendments. First one is the sport field lighting. This project has been completed. We also have 2 fire station completed projects. One is for Fire Station 4 re-roof, and lastly is fire station improvements. This has a balance of $18,000 just to pay out invoices, but the project has been completed. To hear more about these 2 fire station completed projects, I would like to invite DC Southey, as he's going to give us more information on the projects.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. I'm Dominic Susi. I'm a division chief for Las Cruces Fire Department. So just a quick update on some of the projects that have been completed. Probably the most notable is going to be the Fire Station 4 re-roof. Station 4 had been experiencing some significant leaking into the dorm rooms and into the bathroom for a couple years. We were able to get that roof completely torn off and redone through this project. So, so far so good. got finished earlier last year. Everything went by no problem. So that's the most notable project with all this. It was kind of like an emergency situation. The staff at that station was getting basically rained on every time we had a storm. So this went really well, and we're really happy with this. So just some pictures of it. The construction company did a great job. Lots of attention to detail. They painted everything red. So you can kind of see the red overhang on the front. It makes our station look great. Along with Station 4, Station 6, another leaky roof that we had, another project. This was also finished through this project, or through the CIP. This one wasn't a tear off and a re-roof, but this roof was experiencing some significant leaks in the kitchen area. There was also some tiles kind of above the foyer, some Spanish tiles that were falling down, causing some safety hazards. So that was all taken care of, as well as the roof was repaired and recoated. And then Station 5's backup generator. So all of our firehouses are equipped with backup generators in the case of a power outage. As you can see, this one here was pretty old, pretty dated. That current generator didn't power the entire firehouse as well in case of an outage, so it was needed to be updated into a larger generator. So through the program, we were able to get, as you can see here, a larger generator. It powers the entire station in case of an outage. All the electrical panels were upgraded, transfer switches were upgraded. We've had no issues with this. It's maintained well, it's turned on when it needs to, so this has gone really well for us. The other generator was also causing damage to the station because it didn't have enough power to power the station, so when it did need to kick on, we were burning out motors on our bay doors and things like that. And then this is the last project, the Fire Station 2 bay remodel. So Fire Station 2 is one of our older stations. It's one of like our historic stations, kind of in line with the old Fire Station 3. The engine bay was in pretty rough shape. I don't have a before picture of it. This is the after picture. But what they did there is repaired some issues we were having. If you look at that yellow like tile in the middle of the engine bay, that's the water and sand separator for that drain that's kind of in the middle. So all that concrete around there was cracking. It was causing issues. So the fire apparatus were running over that and cracking that concrete. So we had to get all that concrete repaired. They rebuilt the entire cover. The construction company did. And then we sealed and repaired all of the engine bay floors. There's another room attached to it that was also sealed up. The floors were sealed, repaired. That's the bunker gear room. That room that was kind of attached had a bunch of holes to the roof. It was been repurposed 4 or 5 times in the last however many decades. So everything was just kind of brought up to modern. Anything that was a safety issue was repaired. The doors were replaced from the engine bay to the living quarters, creating a better seal, so the engine fumes and everything are separated from the living quarters. The members of the station are really happy with this one. We also not pictured, we used the funds to put up a security fence. So that was kind of an issue that had come up, is that vehicles were being stolen out of the parking lot of station number 2. So now we have a security fence with a code, keeping everybody's personal belongings and vehicles secured over at that firehouse. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, BC Susie, I have a question on the re-roofs. What kind of warranties do we get on the re-roofs?
So I believe those are 20-year warranties on those roofs.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Looks good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia Lamillo, for the record. Then we would like to highlight 2 capital outlay projects. The funding for this project has already been accepted at a past city council meeting, so this amendment is to bring in those funds into our CIP document. One of the projects that received the highest amount of capital outlay in this past legislation was for housing, Paseos Verdes. Housing received $1 million in capital outlay, and I would like to invite Natalie Green, Housing Director Administrator, to give us an update on this project.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Natalie Green for the record. Paseos Verdes represents the first of our catalytic projects, major catalytic projects in the El Paseo South Solano. It is an 80-unit low-income housing tax credit. It has already been awarded a 9% allocation through Housing New Mexico. They are in their final underwriting and will close on their capital stack. We anticipate the first week of April. So the city staff or housing staff will be bringing those agreements forward now that the funding has been accepted into the budget. And then construction should start within a couple weeks of that closing date. So we'll save the dates for groundbreaking.
Thank you, Natalie. Cynthia Green, apologies. Cynthia Lamillo for the record. This is another picture for Paseos Verdes. The last project we would like to highlight in today's CIP amendments is the MIH building. This is a project that received the highest capital outlay in the 2025 legislation. It received $5.5 million, and on top of that, they received a grant for $3 million, hence the increase of the $8 million for this project. So I would like to invite Mr. Sauci again for an update on this project.
Mayor, members of council, Dominic Susi. So this is the mobile integrated health station or mobile integrated health building. This has been kind of in the works for a little while. This is going to house our light team and our mobile integrated health team that are currently housed at Station 1, just across the street. So right now they're packed in pretty good at Station 1, doing their best to respond out of there. But this station is going to give them a place to be. It's going to be closer to a district that needs it the most. It's currently in progress. We're working with the historical preservation officer with the city and with the state historic preservation officer to make sure that this site is going to work for us. And we've kind of run into some preservation issues, and we're making sure that we appropriately take care of the old Station 3 as far as demolishing it and make sure that that's treated appropriately before we can build this. So that's just a quick update on where this is. And here is some renderings from the architect for this building. So the teams will be able to have meetings there. There'll be dorms there. They'll be able to sleep there. Everything, these quarters will accommodate the teams appropriately, and they'll allow them to do their work better in a more private setting when they're dealing with the district and the patients in the district and what they have to, when they have to do their work. Right now, it's a little bit tough to have conversations and do their work in privacy, and this is going to offer them that, as well as privacy for the residents receiving service. We'll be right next to the new fire station on Valley Drive. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you again. And with that, Council, here are your options for the CIP amendments.
Seeing no questions, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-097. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Harris?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Munoz?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 8.5, resolution number 26-098, a resolution approving a pre-commitment of city funding for a federal low-income housing tax credit multifamily development.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Natalie Green, your housing administrator for the record. The resolution before you is a pre-commitment of city funding for a low-income housing tax credit. It's a 9% specifically for senior affordable housing. Just some background information. It's the request is for impact fee waivers and permit fee waivers. Our impact fee waiver program was created in 2008. It is codified in Chapter 13 of the Las Cruces Municipal Code under Article 2, Division 2, Subdivision 1. It allows for the waiver or alternative payment program for qualified entities, specifically for the development of affordable housing, and must be in compliance with the New Mexico Affordable Housing Act and our General Oversight Ordinance. Any waivers granted to this property would impose an affordability period and income restrictions for the residents. A little bit about the competition that they'll be applying to. It's the 9% low-income housing tax credit competition. It's a highly competitive statewide process that's run by Housing New Mexico. In fact, the deadline to submit is today. Applications are scored using a qualified allocation plan, and that scoring criteria is tied to the location, the capital stack, the different affordability requirements, and a pre-commitment from the city will strengthen the application by demonstrating our support and its readiness to proceed at the time of scoring. And then local funds, our local funds will leverage a substantial amount of private investment. So for this relatively low ask of $500,000 in waivers, it'll leverage $18 million in private investment for the development of this project if it's awarded 9% tax credits. The project is called the Golden Sands at Mesilla Valley. The developer is TWG Development. They are proposing a 60-unit senior affordable housing complex made up of 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. Again, that target area median income is 60%. It would be for seniors 55 and over and does have a veteran's preference. Amenities will include community rooms, outdoor spaces, fitness rooms, and garden beds. The resolution, if approved today, would pre-commit up to $500,000 in impact fee and permit waivers, and it is subject to an award of 9% low-income tax credits. So if they're unsuccessful at the competition, then the city does not have to waive those fees. If it is awarded, staff will come back with any agreements or budgetary needs at a future date, similar to what we're doing with Paseos Verdes. When they're ready to close, we'll come back to council to finalize those agreements. And again, city support will strengthen the low-income housing tax credit application, and it does align with the city's adopted council strategic plan and Elevate Las Cruces. This is a vicinity map. It is located off Baton Memorial, west side. This facility is the Ashleys. There's also the Motor Vehicles Department, Papa John's, and banking institution and a pharmacy. This is a rendering of what the facility would look like. It is intended to be a missing middle housing type, so it's what they're calling bungalow-style apartment complex. You have your standard council options, and I'm available for questions, and we also have Megan Adams with TWG Development via Zoom, should you have additional questions of the developer.
Thank you, Natalie. Councilor Curran.
Thank you. Again, I'm very excited, as always, to have more affordable housing on the possible agenda in our sphere. But I always like when you give a little breakdown of 9%, very competitive. You alluded to this. The city of Las Cruces is actually one of the most successful municipalities, I think, in the state. Knock on wood, again, submitting today. But it is very competitive, and it does take a very sophisticated operation to do this, as well as a very strong private partner. So I just wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about that 9%, and then also just say the developers have been extremely communicative. I've already chatted with them about some of the design elements and what this will be like for folks in the community in District 5. So I just wanted to sort of also say I'm really happy that they're willing to consider investing here in Las Cruces and partnering with us in this way.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Curran. This is our chart showing the difference between a 9% and a 4% tax credit. So the 9% is highly competitive because it creates almost 70% equity within the development. So the tax credit, the investors and the developer only need to take a small amount of debt service, which allows them to reduce the rents or cap the rents based on HUD's LIHTC chart. A 4%, surprisingly, is actually starting to become very competitive. It typically wasn't 4%. It allows larger projects, so we could do 100, 144 unit complexes. You have less equity in the deal, but it was subject to the state's volume cap or bonding volume cap. That cap is actually at its limit, so we're going to start to see 4% get a lot more competitive, which has in turn will make the 9% even more competitive. Not only are we seeing developers compete here in Las Cruces, we're also, Las Cruces is very competitive at the state level. So thank you for the compliment. We like to consider ourselves a sophisticated housing department as well.
You knew I wanted that chart, and I love it. So thanks for sharing it.
Councilor Harris.
Thanks. So I guess first, those renderings look pretty cool. This sounds like an exciting project, and I'm excited to see the investment into Las Cruces. My question is kind of a general one. Again, I'm new. The pre-commitment of these funds, like, do we do that for other projects that we're looking to get funding sources for? Is that a way that we can make projects we want our city to do more competitive in other areas?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Harris, the low-income housing tax credit competition is conducted annually. So staff puts out a call for projects in October, and we have what's called a qualifying grantee, and I apologize, it's a lot of verbiage. So projects actually have to come to us and get pre-qualified. They have to be eligible under the New Mexico Affordable Housing Act. And then Housing New Mexico has to confirm our assessment of those qualifying grantees. And then that'll make them eligible for any pre-commitments under our programming. Sometimes those are loans. Other times, for example, the Housing Authority project, we got capital outlay, so that will likely be some sort of loan grant combination. I haven't read the documents myself. Staff has been working on those. But generally, under the Affordable Housing Act, it calls for staff to do primarily loans because we want that return on investment. So any pre-commitments that we've made that have been awarded tax credits have either come from special revenue bonds or we've tapped into the Tilshore Fund, but it's been a loan that will be repaid back. But again, it's specific to affordable housing projects, typically multifamily rental. And then for 9% tax credits, the sweet spot is anywhere from 60 to 80. And then just as a note, the projects, in order to be competitive, have to stay affordable for typically 35 to 40 years. So there is an expectation that whatever is being built be sustainable for that lifetime.
Cool, that's good to know. So this kind of pledging of funding for these kinds of projects is kind of specific to these kind of projects just because of the grants that they're going out to get awarded, right?
Correct. Councilor Harris, it's a program that's authorized under the IRS, so it's actually a tax incentive that was created by Ronald Reagan. And so it's the longest running affordable housing program. And our consultant presented to council a couple months ago. It is the only federal housing program that received bipartisan increases during the last administration, or current administration, I should say.
Seeing no other questions, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 26-098. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Harris?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Next is board appointments to be read into the record. Councilor Coran appoints Nancy Claypool to the Library Board. Mayor Enriquez will be appointed to the Community Schools Board. Councilor Harris will be appointed to the Transit Board. Good. Notice of proposed ordinances. We have two, Council Bill number 26-014, ordinance number 3106, an ordinance amending Chapter 23, Section 23-36, Police Service Aids of the Las Cruces Municipal Code.
Bring it forward.
The second one is Council Bill number 26-015, ordinance number 3107, an ordinance terminating the project participation between, the participation agreement with 828 Productions.
Bring forward.
Next is City Council Member Board Reports and Comments. Councilor McClure.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two things specifically, and the first one is that I also share a concern about Flock, but I think that we're not thinking wider even than that. I went to Mavita's AI conference, and I thought about cybersecurity in different ways that are going to be impacting us just dynamically for whatever we do. I was a youngin' in 2001, but right around then we started talking a lot about protecting our critical infrastructure. A lot of time that meant water and gas from things that we could be threatened against. And right now we have to be concerned about where our data goes, and I think that is a crucial thing that we need to talk about. One of the pertinent things, this was an 8 a.m. Presentation, and it was a lot. Elizabeth's over here nodding. Yeah, that was a lot for 8 a.m. They had a cybersecurity professional who was talking about 5 years ago, the ability to stop a virus was about a month. Now it's 48 hours. And this is not outside the normal for Las Cruces either, because look at the ransomware attack for Las Cruces Public Schools. It was in 2019. We don't want to have things like that happen to us too. I spoke a little bit with economic development and thinking about that. For that, can we guarantee data security for working with some of the companies that want to come in? I don't know. So this is a conversation we do need to have here at the city level. The other thing I want to talk about is I was encouraged to hear about a project called Art Space, which is different housing opportunities for Las Cruces. It's years ago, they had come into El Paso, and it was like a catalyst project for downtown El Paso to basically bring artists in and give them a different way of living. So when we talk about different opportunities for housing, things like that make me really excited. So I'm glad those conversations are happening. They're coming at the end of February to kind of scout locations. If you're interested, reach out. I'm kind of in conversation with them. I'm always going to argue for downtown, but there's flexibility, right? So those are the things that I'm excited about, and I do think we have to have some larger conversations.
Councilor Matisse. Councilor Harris.
Thanks. So I guess I would also welcome further conversation on cybersecurity and data privacy practices and the implications of programs that we are doing in the city, Flock, potentially other things. As anyone who's been paying attention to what I say can probably know, that's a big thing for me. Cyber is my passion and my industry, so I would welcome those conversations, and I think they're very important. Second, I attended the Art Board meeting the other week, and just wanted to point out that they are accepting chalk artists for their annual Chalk Walk event. The application deadline is the 21st. There's a pre-meeting on the 6th, and then the event itself is March 14th in the museum courtyard. And then also this Thursday, we're dedicating a new art piece at Fire Station 6 at 1:30 p.m. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. I wanted to note that this week on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, just in case anybody forgot, we are celebrating all of our utilities employees at the utilities banquet. And, you know, certainly, think maybe you were all invited. If you weren't, my apologies. I am inviting you now. And but we do get to thank our utilities employees who feel like have a very thankless job often. And after seeing what happened in El Paso in the last couple of weeks with their huge utility emergency that they had, it puts even more into perspective how important our utilities employees are. So if you see folks around town, please make sure to give them a huge thank you. I also had the pleasure of attending the NAACP's Dr. King luncheon yesterday. I'm really grateful for their continued work in Doñana County and for inviting us to be there. And it was great to have, they had as the keynote speaker, Leon Howard, who is the executive director of the ACLU of New Mexico there. And it was great to have him shout out Las Cruces and the ways that we are standing up for our immigrant communities and shout out our Welcoming City resolution. Certainly hope that the majority of this council continues to protect that, especially because it does include some data privacy provisions in there that obviously we have to continue having those conversations. So I'm also very much up for what that conversation can look like in our community, since multiple members of our community have raised it. And then lastly, I wanted to shout out, we had lots of great shout outs. This past couple of weeks, the American Planning Association also had a report that came out on zoning practices and specifically shouted out Las Cruces and some of the things that we are doing in Las Cruces through housing, through zoning to improve housing opportunities for folks. And this magazine, American Planning Association, nonpartisan nonprofit, also talked about the cost of criminalization. And I know that we live in a time where research and evidence and data aren't necessarily used primarily to plan policy. I certainly hope that here in Las Cruces we can highlight that. And this particular magazine did talk about the cost of criminalizing homelessness through things like camping bans. And I think it's important for folks to understand that encampment sweeps, how that impacts taxpayer dollars. One study in the magazine, it says one study estimated that after receiving a move-along order, 91% of unsheltered people remain outdoors, moving only 2 or 3 blocks away. Even if temporarily incarcerated, individuals often return to the same neighborhoods and parks by simply creating a costly revolving door that circulates individuals experiencing homelessness from the street to the criminal justice system and back. Or from neighborhood to neighborhood or block to block, enforcement expenditures are often counterproductive and wasteful. So if perhaps the real humanitarian narrative doesn't land on folks, perhaps the cost effectiveness of a cruel policy like this can go a lot further. Anyway, it was great to have Las Cruces on here recognized. I also saw that there are some state legislators who are uplifting some zoning policies, and I was reading this list and I was like, we already did that, we already did that, we already did that. And so it's been really incredible to see that the city of Las Cruces is very much leading the way in New Mexico, and so just a huge shout out to our staff who has led on a lot of those efforts. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks. Councilor Curran.
Thank you. I also agree that I would love for us to have a conversation about Flock I think Flock just gets the publicity, but I do think that the surveillance data is not as secure as we would all hope for our data to be in any situation. So I support my colleagues that mentioned that as a priority to continue to follow up on. But I do want to just mention in this discussion of the bigger picture, I am really grateful for our opportunity next week. Next Wednesday is our budget retreat, and I think I talked to someone this weekend who thought, oh, it already happened. I think everyone is reading things from 2025 and forgetting that it's 2026. So just as a note, our budget retreat comes up next Wednesday, and I'm sure there'll be additional information publicly available, but the public is invited, the media is invited, and I hope that folks will consider joining us in that conversation as we think about the budget moving forward. So I will see you there. And then the last thing that I wanted to, well, no, I'll skip the last mention and just say I'll see you next week at the budget retreat.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Munoz.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to highlight, I know that currently right now with the legislature in session, we're looking at capital outlay. I had heard, like many of my esteemed colleagues, that there were some delays in projects statewide, not here in Las Cruces, but statewide. There's about $7 billion of monies that have not been spent. I mean, that would be a great problem to have here in Las Cruces, but it's statewide. So I asked our city manager and his staff to provide a report, and I'm happy to say with the progress that has been made, we are on track or have completed some of the projects. There's just a few projects that we're behind for good reasons, and I think we'll be able to catch up. So that's a really good message to share with the legislature, and compliments to the city manager, the assistant city managers, leadership, and the staff for keeping those projects on track. So looking forward to finishing out the project and then getting some new monies from the state. The other piece I'd like to look at, if my esteemed colleagues would like maybe a work session or something. I know we talked about electrification of the fleet. We're at about 6% or so. So if you have that plan out there, I'd like to take a look at it to see how we can reasonably, grow that or get to our budget. With that, we probably wouldn't have to worry about premium or regular gas. Okay, no, too soon? No, that's not actually. That also brings me to the point, thank you to the staff, thank you to the audit team that out of really just millions and millions of dollars and a lot of dollars that we spend on fuel, that they were able to catch that, very, very tiny anomaly, and we'll be able to bone in on that. So, and actually improve on those processes, so that's pretty good. But again, just want to look at electrification, and I want to be reasonable. I know that there are reasons why we might be a little bit slow on that. I know there was a slowdown in the manufacturing of EV vehicles, so I get that piece. Just want to be aware of that. And then the last thing, I want to thank Executive Director Rochelle Miller Hernandez and her team and everyone from Las Cruces City team who participated in the balloon rally. I felt it was very positive. Community came together, and not just the Las Cruces community, but surrounding communities. Saw some folks there from, or met some folks from various parts of this region, and also someone who really stuck out because he was wearing shorts and short sleeves at 5:30 in the morning when it was about, 20 or 30 degrees. But he was from Canada, I believe. So great job to the team. Again, a very good sense of community, and I hope that we continue to have more programs like this for our community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And I also want to say a shout out to Rochelle and Visit Las Cruces and the Mesilla Valley Balloon Rally. It was a great event Saturday morning. There's probably a couple thousand people there. And again, to Councilor McClure and Mayor Pro Tem Munoz, who got on the Visit Las Cruces balloon, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, also our assistant city managers. That balloon was beautiful, and to see Visit Las Cruces, to see Las Cruces up there in the sky was something to see. So again, thank you, Visit Las Cruces, for putting that together. As we started out today, we had a presentation by Sister Cities, and I always say that's a great way to learn, not only here locally or in the country, but throughout the world. And I mention that because we talk about Flock, we talk about technology, we talk about AI, and not too far from us, we have one of the state-of-the-art facilities being built, and that's in Juarez, Mexico, for the Real-Time Crime Center. And it's a multi-story building, and I know police has already been invited, to tour and see how it works. GIS has been invited, I've been invited, so I'll extend that invitation so we can learn and see what are the problems, what are the issues. And this came from Mexico City, but the president and the governor of Chihuahua decided they wanted it down south, so they put it in Juarez. So it's something that we can learn from and grow from as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Munoz, and City Councilors, Sicanita Mopial City Manager. Just 3 announcements, and then I'll let you on your way. Economic Development, Film Las Cruces announced that the city of Las Cruces has been named one of the best places to live and work as a movie maker in 2026. This marks the 4th year in a row that the city has been listed in the top 10 film towns in America. Great job to our filmmakers and economic development for assisting with that. Parks and Recreation on January 17th, which passed, Parks and Recreation co-hosted a meet featuring athletes from our 4 local high schools. Looking ahead, we invite the community to join us on January 31st for the dual meet between New Mexico State University and the University of New Mexico. Boo. This event runs from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. This event is free and open to the public, and we encourage everyone to come out and cheer on our hometown Aggies. And last, just want to give an update that Las Cruces PD and Mesilla Valley Community of Hope are working closely together. Community of Hope Outreach and Mano a Mano continues to meet with unhoused neighbors at Burn Lake and transition them into Camp Hope, mitigate neighborhood impacts, and so on and so forth. So just want to give everyone an update on that. Mayor, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. With that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Harris?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Munoz?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.